because I don't understand. I mean, if there's people coming and going all the time, I guess I don't understand why action isn't being taken at that level. That being said, if there are students in the school that are walking around obviously impaired, I guess we need to have the courage to do something at that point and not let them keep walking around impaired.
First thing I'd like to say is if we have one student in the high school that's selling drugs or using drugs, we have a drug problem. It doesn't matter if it's 50 or 1, we have a drug problem. I worked with the Juvenile Justice Department as a shelter care parent years ago and as a foster care parent, and I taught in an alternative school and I taught in an at-risk program. So I worked with students that have troubles. And it's not just poor students. It's students that come from good families. It's students that come from poor families. And it's students that have educated families. It's students that have uneducated families. It's very important as a school district that we work together with our parents, our faith-based partners through Bright Futures. We work with our parents, our community members, our business and industry members, our faith-based partners, and we develop relationships with these students. It's one thing to catch them and punish them, but it's another thing to work with them, develop relationships with them, and offer programs for all kids, not just the brightest kids, not just the lowest level kids, but develop programs for all kids so that they can see that there's a future for them and they see that they can be successful in this life.
Thank you. Next question.
Since safety and officers were touched on those answers, let me piggyback this question. What is your opinion on guns and student and school safety?
Let's start on this one. Yes.
Okay. Well, I know that was one of the questions posed by the local reporter when he answered questions for the paper, and I was taken by surprise because I had no idea that that was even an issue. I still, and as I answered then, I still believe now that guns in the school are a very, very serious issue, and it is one that takes a lot of time and debate, I would say, whether it is necessary. And I know we don't want some event to happen before we say it's necessary, but I truly would want to hear all the other security measures that are being used before we get to that spot. I just have some concerns about that.
I agree. You know, I grew up around firearms. I'm no stranger to them. That was just part of my household. But the fact is that putting guns in a school, even in the hands of a teacher, is actually quite dangerous, and we will encounter significant legal resistance if we do it. Congress has passed at least 2 laws trying to keep guns out of schools by whoever except for law enforcement. So we're up against that. But I have to say, in addition to the legal issues and the practical issues, you know, Harrisonville would be one of the first districts to do this. I want our district to be a leader in a lot of things, but I don't want this to be one of them. We have other things that I want this district to be famous for. I want to be famous for our great academics. I want to be famous for our great sports teams. I don't want to be the first big district in the state of Missouri to put guns in schools. It may come to that. It may eventually be a necessity, but that day is not today. And I see our school district being far and above a more compelling place to be if we resist the temptation to adopt this policy now and focus on other areas. We can't be distracted from the goal at hand, and that is education and use of taxpayer dollars. So, like I said, you know, it may eventually come to that, but not yet.
I would say at first blush, I am opposed to the idea of our teachers or school staff being armed. Safety and security of our students is paramount. This is a day and age where unfortunately you do have to prepare for these things. I was very taken back the first time I realized my children were actually having an active shooter drill in their school. It's as commonplace as tornado and fire drills. So knowing that that's just unfortunately where we're heading in our society is troublesome enough. But I cannot say that I am for it or against it without seeing the policy, and in my mind, the policy needs to be huge, and it needs to encompass a lot. And before I can even make an educated guess on whether or not that is a good or bad idea, I've got to see that policy. I need to know that the staff is safe. I need to know that our children are safe. I need to know that our law enforcement officers, when they come into the building, are safe. I've got to see the policy on that before I would even remotely answer that question.
You know, safety in schools is very, very important, and I don't want to be on record as saying that I don't think we should even consider it. At first reaction, I am not in favor of having guns in schools, because I have a lot of questions. Who will be trained? How will we know if they're the right person? Will our administrators carry? Which teachers will carry? Will secretaries carry? Who will carry? And how do our law enforcement officers know when they walk into school who that person is that carry it if that's not the shooter? I have a lot of questions. I think that if our district, if this comes to our district, and it may very well, it probably will, and actually already has come to our district, I think there needs to be a lot of discussion, there needs to be a lot of research. Our parents need to be involved in this decision and these discussions. Our taxpayers need to be involved. Our teachers need to be involved. It's a huge issue. I think that Harrisonville School District has done a great job so far in dealing with safety in our schools and doing as much as we can. And I hope as we go forward that if this is something that is brought to us seriously for a vote, we take the time that we need to look at all research everything that we need to do, and listen to our parents and our law enforcement officers so that everybody has input into this huge decision.
Thank you. Next question.
A critical piece of understanding our community's needs and desires is being an involved and aware community member. How have you remained involved in and or served our community to date? If you can provide timelines, such as how long you've been involved in or with certain organizations, please do so.
We'll start with Pete.
I work in the community that I live in, so I have constant contact with residents of this community. I am a member of the chamber since 2010. I was, when Harrisonville Net, before Harrisonville Net dissolved, I was with Harrisonville Net for 3 years. I am currently the chair for Bright Futures Harrisonville. I've served on Bright Futures Harrisonville for the last 2 years. And having children in the school district, you just get to know parents, you hear things, you do things for their classrooms. My son is a football player. There's a group of women that help get the meals prepared, feed the boys, so you just kind of get out and know people. I would say, though, the best and strongest thing that I have done is Bright Futures Harrisonville. That has really opened my eyes a lot to the needs of a lot of kids in the school district. You know, when your elementary school is at 52% on the free and reduced lunch program, that is a shocking number because that is over half of our school district. That's not including the high school kids. So what is that number when you add high school kids to it? The number of kids that participate in the backpack program and get a backpack to take home. They're getting these backpacks because they don't have access to food during the weekend. This is a problem. It's appalling, and that's when you start knowing that you as a community member have to step up and take responsibility.
Well, when you're my age, sometimes it's hard to remember timelines, but I'll do the best I can. I've been involved years ago in the foster parent program, and we accepted a foster child into our home for 2 years. And we took shelter care parents on the weekends in our homes that needed somewhere to go on the weekends to leave the Juvenile Justice Center at the time. I taught Bible school for 3 years, Sunday school for 2 years. I've been in various organizations in the community throughout my years. I was a member of Beta Sigma Phi, which is a local organization. I have been on the chamber, a member of the Harrisonville Area Chamber of Commerce probably since around 1991, I believe. I'm a past board president and a current chamber ambassador. I am on the Bright Futures Board. This is my first year on Bright Futures Board, and I'm the president of the Cass Regional Medical Center Foundation Board. This is I believe my 5th or 6th year on the foundation board. Being an administrator in the district, I've worked with a lot of organizations within our community to help students, and I think that community service is a expectation of all of us in a community, and sometimes it's not always pleasant or fun to step up and be involved in some of those things, but it is one of the most important things that we can do for our family, our students, and the future leaders of our community.
I'm not as old as Gina.
It's okay.
That may be our first rebuttal.
With the exception of the 3 years I lived in Indiana, I went to law school in Notre Dame, I've always been involved here. So let me discuss what I'm most proud of first. I provide hundreds of hours of free legal and accounting services to the people of this community every year. I have fought cases on behalf of foster parents and our city's youth all the way to the Missouri Supreme Court. I am incredibly proud of that. We do great work. My law firm is one of the largest provider of free legal services on this side of the state. We are incredibly proud of it, and I'm thrilled to be part of that. Before I went to law school, I was a CPA, and through that, I actually had an standing offer to the community. If you needed to form a 501c3, which is a nonprofit organization, it often cost $5,000 to $10,000 to do that. It's really sad because nonprofits often can't afford that. My offer was, if you needed it done, I'll do it for free. And I did that as an accountant. That's still my policy, and I would gladly help anybody that needs it. I've done it for several of the nonprofits around town, and I started doing that work a decade ago when I started my accounting career. In town, I've been on the Cass Career Center's Business Advisory Board, which is the board that talks about technology in the classroom and a lot of those issues. I've been doing that since I graduated from high school, in fact. So I've been doing that since 2002. We had a meeting last night. It's a great experience, and I know a couple of you have actually been on that committee. I go to church here in town. I'll let you guess which one. I went to Notre Dame. You know, I've just been involved in the community for some time.
Well, I was going to set the record straight. I am the oldest. I don't care. Chris reminded me, I handed him his diploma. Anyway, I've been living here for a long, long time, and I love this community. I love this place. It's a great place to live, a great place to raise kids, a great place to work. I'm involved with Rotary, and I have been for many, many years, and I've been volunteering at the schools, well, at the elementary school for this school year. Pretty much every week I've been going and reading and doing multiplication tables, which is just a lot of fun, and those little kids just, you know, they just brighten your day. It's really, really fun. And besides that, back in the day when I was much younger, I helped a lot with the Harrisonville swim team, volunteered hours upon hours with that, and that was a great, great sport for kids to be involved with. Our family also hosted foreign exchange students through Rotary. We did that a couple of times, and so that was a good experience for us to become acquainted with other parts of the world. It's just, I'm also very involved with my church, so I spend a lot of time ministering in that arena. But all in all, I stay pretty busy, and like I say, it's a wonderful community, and I think I know quite a few people, and I do try to stay active and involved volunteering at this point in my life.
I think we have time for one more question, and then we'll do our 30-second summaries.
This question ties in a little to what we've already touched on, so I wanted to save it for last. There's been a lot of turmoil in and around the school board the last few years. What are your thoughts about this, and more importantly, what are your thoughts about correcting it?
Gina will start.
I figured it was my turn again. Unfortunately, we have been hearing that there's turmoil surrounded by the school board. And I don't think that that is really the most important thing that we should hear about our school district. We should hear about the great things that are going on with our elementary school students, our middle school students, our high school students, our career and technical students. Those are the things we need to be hearing about. We need to hear the great things that Harrisonville School District is doing. We need to hear our realtors bragging on the school district and encouraging people to come to live in Harrisonville because we have such a school district. In order to change that, I feel like it's important for you to have a board that you respect, a board that is professional, as Nancy said earlier, a board that has some experience and expertise that they can bring to the table. Those are the most important things. A board that you can trust, a board that has integrity, a board that is professional, and a board that is transparent and feels like they have nothing to hide from you, but you respect and trust to make the decisions for your children, your grandchildren, and all the children in your community, our community.
Honestly, I can't speak for any of the problems that have happened on the school board. I'm not there, I'm not part of it, I'm not part of the closed sessions. I don't know. I know that we need a fresh start. We need a clean slate, and that's what I see this election being, a clean slate. It doesn't matter what came before, it matters what we're going to do next. I think we need to restore faith, we need to restore integrity, we need to restore hope, we need to restore communication. Somehow all of that has slipped through the cracks, and we need to build it back. You build it back by being professional, you build it back by being articulate, you build it back by being educated on the topics at hand, and you build it back by not having any private agenda. You build it back by knowing at the end of the day, whether you agree with every other member on that school board or not, you are making a decision that affects every child in this district, and you better be making the right one. So whether you agree with how it comes down to it in the end, the bottom line is in the end, that's what has to happen.
I would agree with that it is a time, and I am glad to see these fresh faces. It's very encouraging. I would just agree with that and say that I believe I'm known for my no-nonsense approach and my common sense approach, and that I'm not afraid to speak the truth or disagree with somebody. So that being said, I think it's just very important that even though you might disagree as a board, when the final vote is taken, it's a vote that you can live with and that you're not just voting to make somebody else happy. You have to be your own person, and you have to really believe in what you're doing and have a passion for the kids and the parents and the teachers and the education process. It's not something that you can just frivolously come to a meeting, ask questions about what's in your board. Well, it used to be a packet, now it's a computer screen. But you should have reviewed all of that information before you come to the meeting. And you should know what the issues are and what you're voting on before the meeting, so you have the correct questions to ask. So I would just agree that it is time for transparency and trust to be part of the board process again.
I want to change the conversation. I want this district to be known again for what it was once known for. We were a school district that released Olympic athletes, great scholars, tremendous scientists, titans of industry. We can go there again. I want the first thing that pops up when you Google our school district to be how great our academics are, because that's what guidance counselors at colleges look up. I want the first thing that comes up when you look up the Harrisonville School Board to be the fact that they want you to support our school's foundation and that they are here for our students. The path there isn't long. It's actually a really easy path. We just have to keep the 3 promises. To the students, you'll get the best education possible here. Same to the parents. To the teachers, we've got your back. And to the taxpayers, we won't waste your money. Our district is blessed with enormously valuable resources. We have a great path forward. And although we've had some turmoil over the past 3 years, and I've already talked about that, I think that we can actually make tomorrow a brighter day. And that's really what this campaign is about, and that's what all 4 of us up here represent, is how to turn this around and make it so the school district is the shining beacon that all of the other school districts in the state look to like it once was. And when we get there, that's how we know we've accomplished our goal. That's what this entire campaign is about. The fact that our kids will have the same opportunities that we all had. And if we get there, we've done our job.
Thank you. That's going to end the time we have for questions. I'm going to give each candidate 30 seconds for summary if you'd like to use it. Let's start with Tina.
To sum everything up, again, I keep saying this, at the end of the day, the most important thing are the kids in this school district. So we have to figure out a way to come together and to make sure that they are able to step ahead in the future, to be successful members of our community, to be leaders, because honestly, they're the next step to all of us. I mean, when we are past this point, our kids are going to be the next step, and are we providing them the best opportunity?
I have 39 years' experience in the Harrisonville School District as a student, a teacher, and administrator. I feel an obligation to step up and be part of our school board, and I feel an excitement to be able to do it and to have that opportunity to be here and work for our students, our parents, and our educators in the school district if I'm elected to the board.
I'm a CPA, I'm an attorney, and I'm a college professor. I will get the job done. I have the right experiences to make sure that our school district can return to the greatness that it once was. I wanted to say one more thing. I'm happy to be running with Tina and Gina, and if you haven't checked out and if you want more information, the best way to contact us is on facebook.com/Harrisonville. It's easy to remember, facebook.com/Harrisonville. That's our campaign site. You'll see all of our platform. You'll see some nice pictures of us, and you'll see why we're running together. Thank you guys. I'm really thrilled that you all came tonight. I'm amazed by how packed this room is.
Thank you. I agree with Chris about bringing the district back how it used to be. I have to say, when my kids, they all graduated while I was on school board, and I was so proud of them. They all got a good education here, and I do want that for my grandchildren. My kids are all, they got such a good education. They're all on the top of their field, and I'm so proud of them. And I want my grandkids to have the same opportunities and be at the top of their field whenever they finish their high school education. So that's the reason I'm running, and I love this district. I love this community.
Candidates, thank you very much this evening. You all did a wonderful job. I appreciate you. Thank you to the audience. You were very attentive, and I thought we had a wonderful forum. Let's take a 15-minute break, and then we will start all over again with the old. Thank you.